Hello, everybody. It's Donna Cravata, and we are here again for another Real 50 Over 50 interview. And today we have Stephanie Shaw. She's a health and wellness speaker and the host of the very popular podcast, Hello Hot Flash. She's an educator by nature, and Stephanie took the strategies that she implemented herself to recover from a 2-year illness and turn them into a nutrition and coaching and an online education business where she teaches midlife women how to heal their hormones, lose weight, slow the aging process, and just feel better. Stephanie wants women to understand that they can get through menopause without drugs, that their bodies are going through a beautiful but scary transition, and that there's a way to go through this transition with grace, dignity, and no hot flashes.
Ooh, hot flashes.
Welcome, Stephanie. So nice to see you here.
It's so nice to see you again, Donna, and thank you so much for having me.
So let's just dive right in and ask you what happened when you turned 50.
Oh, everything hit the fan. I will tell you that much. So, in all honesty, Donna, if I look back, there were signs. Like there were,
Mm,
like the back part of my hair was kind of falling out, and someone approached me like, "Oh, you have a cute asymmetrical haircut." I'm thinking, "No, I don't.
mm,
My hair was falling out." And I wasn't paying attention to my body. I just, if you're tired, you're tired. You don't sleep, it's stressed from work kind of thing. So there was this build up as to what ultimately took me down for 2 years. The actual day, March 23rd, 2017, is when kind of, again, everything hit the fan. I was on a business trip in New Orleans and my jaw became numb. My heart started to beat fast. My hands and feet were tingling. That day, I ended up in two different ERs. So not only was I not at home, I'm in the ER two times, and both time one sent me to another ER because they had no idea what was going on in my body. That took a course of 2 years, 18 different doctors, two world-renowned medical facilities for me still not to have anyone say, perhaps it's your hormones that are causing an impact. So I had to really work hard educating myself, asking a lot of questions, firing some doctors or moving on to other doctors, maybe a better term, in order to get my health back. But when I hit right around that 50 age, it was again the hot flashes, the sleepless nights, the phantom smells, which I didn't even know was a symptom of, all of that came to me. And that's why right now I love the fact that I can educate other women so they don't have to go through what I
mhm.
went through.
Yeah, yeah. And like, what was the thing that made you realize, oh, they don't have my answers, I do?
Yeah. So I think the floating from doctor to doctor, and when I looked at the $20,000 out of pocket that I had spent. So during that time, we didn't have any medical insurance. So on top of the Western medicine that could have gotten paid for with insurance, I was doing a lot of Eastern things too. So chiropractors, naturopaths, acupuncturists. Um,
Mhm,
so just a lot of things were going on, and that's kind of like that aha moment for
mhm,
me. I'm thinking, I've spent all of this money and still I'm not getting a solution. Or I'm going to some really, like, I can't discredit any of these medical professionals because I was not going to just a recent college graduate, no disrespect to those. I was going to people with 30, 40 years worth of experience who I'd seen the work they've done. I'd talked to people that they had helped, but they weren't able to help me because they weren't getting to the root cause of what was going
mhm.
on in my body. So it did not make sense for me to go to a cardiologist because it wasn't cardiovascular problems.
Yeah.
My ophthalmologist, who's awesome, even a friend of mine, it didn't make sense to go to him because I was not having a problem with my eyes. Twitching in my eyes was because of my increase in cortisol levels. My rapid heartbeat was because I was becoming anxious because I didn't know what was going on in my body. So I had to start thinking about, once again, the root cause of what was going on in order for me to make the decision that, yeah, you're not the right doctor for me. I need to move on to someone,
Mhm.
again, who could help me get to the root cause.
That's incredible. And self-advocacy is so important with any medical condition, particularly with women, because doctors don't look to the hormones.
They don't
So
get it at
so
all.
much so much research was done on men and not women. So
Yeah,
they're looking to the answers and the solutions that are never gonna work for us
right, right.
because physiologically we're different.
Yes, and on top of that, Donna, I've interviewed so many, gynecologists who will say, "I was not trained on menopause." So we think that we should be able to just, "Okay, I went to a cardiologist, maybe that was a wrong pick. Maybe the physical therapist was a wrong pick, but my gynecologist should have known." But no, he or she is trained on obstetrics. So they
Yes.
know how to make a healthy baby and get that healthy baby out of your body, but when you are older, when your hormones are starting to change, those estrogen levels are dropping, the cortisol levels are increasing, your testosterone and progesterone, all of those changes are taking place. They were not, they did not get the schooling to help them do that work and to help women in that area. And it's sad because I would have never known that. And a lot of women don't
No,
know or
they don't.
recognize that.
They don't, and then, add on the situational type things too, because
Mhm.
we're now at this age where we're dealing with a whole new set of things aside from our bodies, right? So, like, maybe we're in between kids getting ready to go to college and parents who have failing health,
Yeah.
and, like, how do you like, you're sandwiched in between those things. How do you juggle all of that, which is now also raising that cortisol level, kicking up trauma from 40 years ago?
Right? And you're so right. That's why again, I keep going back to what I said about the root cause because part of my struggle also was I ended up not being able to drive for about 2 months. So I
Mhm.
couldn't move my head left or right. I had vertigo. I had sciatic pain. I um just a stiffness in my neck and my head and shoulders. Well, while hormones initiated some of this, a lot of this was also a time where all of that 40-year ago
Yeah,
stuff started to rise up,
yeah.
and the physical pain in my neck and my back, which you know how you call people a pain in the neck and a pain behind. I really had those people in my life, and the journaling and the processing that I did. So I went to each doctor visit prepared. Like I know I'm jumping from doctor and doctor, but here's what happened. This is what I ate. These are the exercises I'm
Mhm.
doing. While I was doing that journaling, I also started to uncover that there were other situations that had happened in the past and some that were still going on that I needed to take care of. And you're exactly right. Being kids leaving the home, work things that were going on at work,
Mhm.
being part of that sandwich generation, afraid that your parents are declining in their health, and what can you do to help?
Mhm.
All of those things on top of the hormonal changes made my body completely crash for that
Yeah,
those two
because it
years.
just triggers
It
everything, so
triggers so many things, and if I would have just kept taking care of the surface things or taking the every doctor offered a really cool pill. If I
yeah,
would have just kept doing
nice
that.
colors, right?
Yes,
The
yes,
pink
yes.
ones and the blue ones and the
Ex
green
I
ones.
know, they're all pretty colors. And I'm no disrespect to the doctors nor to women who have to go down that route.
Yeah.
But for me, I just chose to dig deep and was able to dig deep and uncover what was really taking place in my body, and that's how I was able to recover more naturally.
So what was really taking place in your body?
Yeah, so again, there were the hormonal changes. I had become a vegetarian, but I was well, I named it, and I had a really cute name for it, but basically a carbivore, I guess I could
Yeah.
say. So I was
My son did that, but he was a cheesetarian, it wasn't healthy.
vegetarian. Yeah, maybe I was a carbivorgia cheesetarian slash. So, I had pulled back on eating meat,
Yeah,
food, meats. So I wasn't getting my Bs, and I didn't understand that you needed B12. I didn't understand
yeah.
protein and so forth in my
Protein
body. So
protein deficiency will knock you out.
exactly. So I was doing that. And then I was 50. So
Mhm.
my hormonal levels were changing. There were some transitions going on at work, at home, with friendships and relationships. And I had to start piecing all of that together. So the 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 core problem was were the hormonal changes. I knew that those were going on. But when you start to stack all of that other stuff, not eating right and
Yeah.
thinking you're doing something cool, new, and right, um, all of that added to where I am today. Now, to be honest, I'm still a vegetarian, but I do it right now, making
Yeah.
sure that I get my protein, and
Mhm.
wherever I see I'm not getting what I need, I'm supplementing it and so forth. But again, I was adding to menopause, to perimenopause, in ways that a lot of times we don't even think that we're adding to.
No, no, you're just creating a big game of Jenga with
I
your body, right?
I love that. Yeah, that's exactly it. But instead of like the one slow piece coming out, mine is like boom, it's like a 3-year-old attacking the Jenga. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was like, did you fixed it through food and changing some things and
I did. So I did a lot of fasting initially, not
Mhm,
full whole day fast, but I did some periodic fasting, because I believe that while fasting may not be for everyone, there's certain times that your body just may need to rest. Just like when you go to sleep, what happens? You rest so that your liver can do what it needs to do, and all of the rebuilding that needs to take place inside of your body. For me, my digestive system needed some rest. So I did some fasting from food. Again, just 12 to 16 hours per day. So I did that periodically. I started to educate myself on what was actually happening. I didn't know what cortisol was. I didn't know the impact that life can have on your body. I didn't understand what you speak over your body. I'm sick.
mhm,
I'm tired. I'm poor. Oh, woe is me. I didn't understand the impact that that had as well. So I changed the way that I spoke over myself. I changed the things I watched on TV. I changed the things that I read. All of those things helped me get to where I needed to be. So there were a ton of lifestyle changes that took place. Again, I kept eating vegetarian, but I started eating properly for my
mhm.
body. And then I started moving my body more. Things like I remember my oldest son would talk about forest bathing or walking outside without your shoes on. I'm like, boy, get in this house, put your shoes on. Like,
Wash your feet.
why are you touching a tree? He's such a hippie. Now I'm like, oh, trees, they're so beautiful. I didn't understand that connection between the earth, grounding yourself, the need to have vitamin D, not just taking it in a supplement, but actually being out in the sun, the need to keep your body hydrated. So it was a long process, and it's a series of things that I did. I wasn't able to just overnight feel
No,
better,
no.
but I started implementing a series of things slowly, and that helped me turn the curve. It was amazing how easy now it is, and how I think back, like, why wasn't I doing this all the time? Why didn't I implement these lifestyle changes before?
Because it's not what we were taught, and then, we really go into this spin
Yeah,
of taking care of everybody else,
yeah,
and we keep getting pushed to the back burner to the point where that's the natural inclination, right? This is what we just do,
yeah.
and, like, what I've learned from having all of these conversations for the last year and a half is that, when we get to this stage in life, we've got a little bit more space to actually stop and say, well, what do I really want? What does
Right.
my body really need? And the other thing, and I think you'll appreciate this because the hormones will play a big part of this. When we're in our 50s, that's us reliving our teenage years.
Mhm, mhm.
It
Yeah,
really is because that's when all the things get shaken up.
yeah. Exactly.
The
So, yeah,
friends turn into mean girls, the
yeah,
family loses their mind.
puberty.
It's not different.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of everything coming alive, it's like the puberty is reversing. I never thought about it that way.
It's really consistent, and then 60, because I just turned 60, it's
Mhm.
like this, like, lull comes over all of it. It's like turning 21, you know?
Well, I'm 5 years away, so I'm trying to get there, Donna. I'm ready for the 21-year-old Lowell to come back. Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit, like like, there are the typical things that everyone hears about, the hot flashes and the weight gain and stress and all of those things, but what are some of the things that menopause or perimenopause kick up that we don't usually hear about?
Yeah, so for me, I had some of the strangest things. So that's why, again, I think I kept traveling from doctor to doctor. So
Mhm,
ringing in my ear, phantom smells. A lot of people smell gas or electricity.
mhm,
I smelled gas periodically, but I would smell maple syrup. And while you may think, oh, that's a pleasant smell, when it's concentrated sugar over and over and you're not sure where it's coming from, that's not a good thing.
yeah,
So that your hair thinning, your hair falling out, brittle nails as well. So I love working with naturopaths because one of the first things they do is they smell you. If you smell a little sweet, there may be some things going on. They have you lick out your tongue so you can see what's actually going on in the body. And then looking at your nails too. If you're seeing a lot of fine lines in your nails, that could be an indication of some type of deficiency as well. So
mhm,
making sure that all those things were happening to me, but I wasn't putting everything together like, oh, wait,
yeah,
these are some deficiencies and these are hormonal changes that are taking place. There's a study
mhm,
done by a company in Canada actually, and they did some research and found up to 100 different symptoms that women experience during perimenopause. And I think that's so important. Like you can, if you Google it, you probably can find 30 to 35 symptoms, which I feel like I've had at least 30 of them. But understanding it's not just about sleepless nights, weight gain, and so forth. It goes much deeper. And for a lot of women, it can completely change their life. I've heard of women getting a divorce or, relationships being hindered or impaired because of the changes that you go through with menopause. For me personally, I never had anxiety, and I'm always completely honest and say that I thought anxiety was like for wimps. I'm like, just suck it up, just whatever,
mhm,
and you keep it moving. If you have a project to do, if you have something going on home and on at home that you don't like, just suck it up, keep moving. That is the worst thing you can do, and I always apologize to people who I thought that in my brain because what I found was I started getting anxiety during this phase of life too. So a lot of women may experience anxiety. It could be triggered by the lack of not knowing. So which I think was mine.
mhm,
Like I didn't know if I
yeah,
decided to take a pill or a vitamin or a supplement or change something, would it make it better? Would it make it worse? What was really going on? So anxiety was a part of it as well. So watching
yeah.
out for more than the hot flashes, more than the night sweats, more than the weight gain, I think is really important for women of our age.
Yeah, and then, just to speak to the anxiety, like, when this is going on for a while, it's like, I don't wanna talk to I'm not gonna tell this person again what I don't wanna be this complainer, this whiner, you know? So you now start to keep this to yourself,
Mhm.
and there's, like, a loneliness that happens with that,
Yeah,
because
that's
now you're
very
really feeling like you're scared because,
yeah,
like, your body's failing you, and you don't know why, and nobody could seem to help you, and you just don't know what to do.
you're right. I think the worst thing that I did the first year was keep it to myself. So of course my
Mhm.
husband knew, my youngest son knew because he was still living at home. The oldest son thought I was dying of cancer. He was upset. He wouldn't tell me, but he told my mom. The middle son didn't know what was going on either. So and then I told my board chair because I ran
Mhm.
a nonprofit at the time, but I kept all of it to myself. When I started having the conversation, I that it felt like the anxiety was eased. One, because I could express it. Two, because I'm like, "Oh, wait, other women go through" like, my mom didn't have menopausal symptoms, or if she
Yeah,
did, I never knew about it.
yeah.
I think, "Wow, other women went through this." That's why I'm such an advocate for education and
Mhm,
speaking about menopause and what it's actually doing to us as women, because that's part of the remedy. That's
mhm.
one of the pills you need to take. That pill you
Yeah,
to speak the truth around what is actually going on in your body so we can actually make some changes.
yeah, and Lee is chiming in here, and she's saying being older is lonely if you're not married or partnered,
Yeah,
and, so that's why community is so important,
so
and being connected to people that are doing the same time of life together, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Because
And experiencing new things you have. So I started sewing, which may seem like a solo thing, but we have small groups at our church. So a group of us got together and sewed last year because even within a marriage, like my marriage is all happy, we have fun, but my husband works afternoons, so I spend a lot of
yeah,
time in the afternoon alone. Like even that, I understand that sense of loneliness. You can be with people and still be
mhm,
lonely sometimes as
yes,
well. So building that community, finding Lee, speaking to Lee or to whomever else, like what else are your interests? What are some interests that maybe you couldn't do because of cost or time in the past? Like rekindle that. Take a dance class, take a hot yoga class, go to an art museum with a friend and so forth. That really helps because when you sit in that loneliness, it exasperates all of the symptoms that you're going through.
it
Community is
just
huge.
raises that cortisol level.
Yes, it really does. It really does.
Yeah, and that's so insidious, it just hits hits all the triggers, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it can.
So, now there's another part of this that people often don't speak about, which is mental health. So
Mhm.
we touched on it a bit with anxiety, but and the loneliness, but like, what else happens with mental health when you're going through menopause?
Yeah. Well, there's 2 types of depression. So one can be a clinical depression, but, and during menopause, depression can also be a part of folks' story as well. So you may feel anxious or excited about something that's going on, but because of the loneliness, the uncertainty about what's going to happen and the uncertainty about the future, depression can be a part of menopause as well. And what I found is the lifestyle changes that I talked about, the eating differently, the exercise, building community, all of that also helps with depression. We need to not be afraid to have a conversation with someone. You talk to women over 50 all of the time. I talk to women. They can listen to our podcast. They can reach out to other people that have been guests on our shows to have other conversations. I think stepping out of your comfort zone and having that conversation with a stranger, if that's what you're comfortable with, or with someone that you feel close with, can help
Mhm.
you overcoming the depression. But it becomes a huge part of menopause as well, unfortunately, for a lot of women.
Yeah, and there are, all kinds of resources, reach out and get help, let if you need professional help, get professional help, and, it really does affect so many different things, and we've kinda talked about a lot of the things that happen in your body and in your life, but one of the other things that I saw on your website, which really made me raise an eyebrow, was, the impact on your finances.
Yes, yeah. It's a I have a little a saying. I'm like menopause messes with your money. So and it can. So for me, the way that it 2 different ways. So I spoke about me going from doctor to doctor, trying to figure out what was going on. So I stopped counting at $20,000. So in a brief time, under a year, I spent over $20,000. One of the doctors that I went to was $7 per minute, but I was so and actually that was the doctor that ended up helping me, but I was so desperate to find out what was going on. It didn't matter. I chose to use my income in order to help me navigate through this situation, because a lot of people wait until it's too late or they're super sick, but I chose to be proactive about it. But another way that menopause messes with our money is in the workplace. So there is, I think it's $1.4 billion that women lose each year. There's a research done, and there was an article in the New York Times. It's totally escaping my brain who did the research. I want to say Duke, but we can get that information for everyone.
Yeah. Well, if
But
if you send me the information for that and the other study, I'll
yeah,
include it with the interview,
okay,
information.
awesome. I will make sure that I send that to you. So the research clearly shows that menopause is messing with women in the workplace. A couple of things that happen. So with the anxiety or depression, there also can be that feeling of I'm not worthy or you're concerned. And that shows up in your work. That causes a lot of times for women not to perhaps to be passed over for promotions or for different opportunities. You can show up and that negative connotation of that angry woman in the workplace, well, it could be your hormones that are off balance. That too can interfere with you in the workplace. Or there may be some shame and fear of surrounding it. So you think that, I'm going to be in the middle of a presentation and I'm going to start having a hot flash and someone's
Mm,
going to question me. Or in the middle of a presentation, I totally forget what I'm going to say because brain fog is a huge part of this as well. So there's all of these little areas that we don't often necessarily associate with our finances, but menopause can mess with our finances if it's
yeah.
interfering with us in the workplace. So I always bring that to the attention. And for people that are listening that are employers, is I implore you to think about that as you have more mature workers because as mature women, we're the cream of the crop. We've been through it all, we understand it all, we've raised children, so that means we can handle employees in most cases. And so you want to keep those women in place. So creating menopause cafes where conversations can happen, creating an environment where both men and women understand what is going on with these hormonal changes in a woman's body. I think those can be key to keeping women in the workplace.
Mhm.
Also, creating an environment where maybe people can, and it's a lot easier to swallow now, but that remote work from home, or if I need to take a sick day, maybe I don't want to explain to you. I just, haven't slept all night, have a hot flash, and can't think clearly.
Yeah.
Let me take that day as long as I'm still getting my work done. So, just putting those things in plan can help when it comes to menopause messing with our money.
And collectively, I mean, that is adding to, the stigma of,
It really
that
is.
we're not relevant anymore after a certain age.
Yeah.
If I mean, because it's happening to all of us,
It
but
is.
it doesn't render us useless, you know?
Yeah, that's so true. It's even like you think about the stigma of women and their gray hair or their aging, and men get gray hair, and then oh my gosh,
Yeah,
they're so
absolutely.
handsome with the gray hair. Oh, they look nice, George Clooney. You know what I mean? So there's this I can't even think of the word right now. Maybe I'm having a brain pop moment.
Uh-oh.
There's this contrast, or not even a contrast. We look at things differently for women than we look at things for men. Men also go through the same type of hormonal changes, but theirs may not be as obvious because it may happen in the bedroom. Um,
Mhm,
so it's not as obvious in the workplace. Understanding that we're all changing, we're all transitioning, and then making accommodations for people. I'm not saying stop your business because
mm,
someone's having a hot flash. I'm saying to use common sense because you need to keep that woman in the workplace because they bring so much value
yeah,
to the workplace.
yeah, totally,
Mhm.
totally, totally, totally. I cannot love this conversation more. Um, and now there's something that I want to talk about that's very exciting. You are in the running to be on a South by Southwest panel.
Yes.
Tell us about that. This is big news.
This is such big news. I have a podcast called Hello Hot Flash, and one of my soon-to-be guests, this is an opportunity that it's part of the work that she's doing. And I was asked to be on that panel. And for those of you who know Dr. Hirsch, if you've heard of her name before, if you've seen the menopause panel with Oprah Winfrey and Drew Barrymore, she was the doctor on that panel, helping pull all of this information together. I have the opportunity to sit on a panel with her next spring. And I am so excited about it. But the way that South by Southwest works is they want to make sure that people actually want to hear about menopause or the subject. So you all have to vote. And
Yes.
thank you so much. You just brought that up on the screen. So if you go to this website, please vote for our panel. And then once we get it, because we're going to get it, I'll make sure that I share that information with Donna as well so you guys can listen into the panel.
Yeah, we'll shout it from the rooftops
Yeah,
because we love to share what our 50 over 50 women are doing. So here's the deal. You go to this website. I will also put it in the comments. Um, you were only allowed to vote once, and I think the deadline is today or tomorrow.
today or
So do it
tomorrow.
soon. So do it
Do it today.
soon. Do it today, just in case. And And yeah, let's get one of our 50 over 50 women on a South by Southwest panel. Woohoo!
Woo! So
And we'll
excited.
also share your interview with Dr. Heather Hirsch when you have that. So make sure that you share that with me and know that, and I know that you're doing it. So let me just put this, say something brilliant while I'm doing this. In the,
Okay. Donna, this is amazing. That's the brilliance here that you have been able to bring so many women together. And I will tell you guys, the folks that are part of the Real 50 over 50, they are true loyal Donna fans. They have a wealth of knowledge. I've actually been able to interview a couple of them last spring, and they are some powerful women. So if this is your first time listening, first time watching, make sure you go back in the archives and listen to some more of the Real 50 over 50.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, we do have some amazing women, and it just keeps growing.
It
So
does.
we did a half an hour. I cannot believe it. We could have done another hour. So, I wanna share your website, so connect with, Stephanie at, hellohotflash.com, and we're all gonna be following along on her South by Southwest journey, and the way that I like to end these interviews is with leaving everyone with a wisdom bomb. So what do you have to share with everyone today?
Yeah, honor what you feel is going on in your body. So if you think you aren't feeling well, if you are concerned about anything, know that you are the best resource, best source ever to understand what is going on in your body. Listen to yourself, and then make sure that you speak up for yourself when it comes to being in front of your medical provider.
Yeah. Do your research.
Do your research.
Website, there's research there.
Yeah, yeah,
And advocate.
yes, yes,
Advocate for yourself.
yes.
Okay, so if you are listening on the replay, tag us in the comments. If you've tagged us already, we will come back and we will respond and come back next week when we have another interview because we are booked months in advance. Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing all that you have learned and experienced and have pulled together to help women understand that they are not alone and they have not lost their minds.
Thank you so much, Donna, for this opportunity to share.
Okay, have a great day and have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we will be back next week.